Jonathan Ross Show. Let's start, as we always do, by taking a look and seeing who is in my green room tonight. They have just been voted Best Television Personalities for the 834th year in a row. It's everyone's favourite conjoined TV twins, Ant and Dec, ladies and gentlemen. Who doesn't love Ant and Dec? We also have one of Hollywood's biggest stars from some of my favourite films of all time, such as Private Benjamin and Death Becomes Her. It's the fabulous Goldie Hawn. Goldie, how lovely to see you again. Love Goldie. The next guest is one of Britain's best-loved stand-up comedians. You're known from Jonathan Creek, you're known from QI. It's Davies, ladies and gentlemen. Looking dapper. And I'm especially excited because we have music and a little bit of chat from one of the biggest female jazz artists of all time. I heard her sing in rehearsal earlier on. Her voice, it blew me away. She's a true global superstar. It's Krall. Hello, Diana. Thank you so much for being here. You're going to love it. So let me start by wishing everyone here and everyone at home a very happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. And don't worry, fellas, if you haven't got something yet, you've got a couple of hours, you can go online, print out a coupon, all right? It doesn't matter how long you've been together, you have to make an effort, and you should make a little bit of effort. I can always sense the tension when there's a couple and someone's been let down, you know? And I'm looking at you two, Ant and Dec. Who forgot this year? You see? It needn't be a big present. A card can be enough, of course, like this one, for example. Roses are red, violets are blue. This card was expensive. Take off your clothes. Still available, as you will be if you send that card to a loved one. But if you want something a little saucier, may I recommend these? This is a new product this year we found. These are called Fundies. I had your interest, now I have your attention, don't I? It's underwear built for two, of course it is. So maybe not on the first date. Maybe wait till you get intimate to wear those. But imagine how bad that would be for the woman, because after a few days, the bloke will say, they're good for another week. What are you talking about? Just turn them inside out, put them on again. And we have some Fundies here to show you. Where are the pair we had? We had a pair of Fundies in. We had an actual pair in. Oh, my... Look at that. That's it.
I think we've got them on the wrong way around.
You only saying that because you're in the front, Dec. That's what you're saying. Look at that. I love the fact that Dec's trying to put a big distance between you even there. He's like... and then he pings forward with even more force. Look at that. I'll tell you what. That's the Ant versus Dec challenge we want to see, isn't it? Shall we get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen? And why don't we... Whether they're introducing the acts on Britain's Got Talent or offering up kangaroo anus in the jungle, they always do it with charm, warmth and wit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ant and Dec! Nice to see you again. Thank you for coming on. You go that way. How are you? Great to see you. Come and sit down. Ant and Dec, ladies and gentlemen. Fabulous to have you back on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be back.
Lovely to be back.
I noticed there, when I said Ant and Dec, you actually came out Ant first.
We always do.
So you always do that?
Always do. I'm used to it now, yeah.
So you don't mind coming second?
I'm still slightly bitter about the whole situation.
And was it because it was alphabetical? Was it just because it was A came first, or...?
Yeah, alphabetical. That's what it was, Jonathan. It's all about alphabets. That's what I keep telling him, anyway. Yeah.
But I thought Dec and Ant has a kind of a ring to it.
Dec and Ant doesn't work.
Doesn't work, not now. It's ingrained now.
And I don't think Dec and Ant would ever work.
No.
Dec and Ant?
It sounds like decadent, decadent.
It's a bit poncy. It's a bit poncy that way, isn't it?
I mean, Dec, full stop, he's sort of poncy, isn't he? Hey, congratulations, though, because since last we met, and you will probably know this, ladies and gentlemen, Dec has got engaged.
I have.
Congratulations. Wonderful, wonderful news.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was November, I believe, was that right?
It was November, just before I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here. Yeah, on the way to Australia. Me and I had a little holiday in Oz before we travelled down to the set, and I popped the question in the Hayman Islands, yeah. So,
how did you pop the question? Can I ask you if that's not too personal?
No, it was... I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it, so I took the ring with me, and I was looking for the opportunity to do it. And you know, it's beautiful out there. We were on the Great Barrier Reef, and we had a wonderful hotel, and it was stunning everywhere. But I just didn't quite know how I was going to do it. And eventually, it got to the last evening, and we'd organised dinner on the beach. And we went round to the one side of the island, the only place on the island where you can see the sunset. And we just went round and we watched the sunset go down, and we did it on there. Yeah, it was lovely.
And then you popped the questions
And
straight after. Have you decided on arrangements like a best man, for example? Have you asked anyone to be your... Have you asked anyone to be your best man?
I've been thinking about it long and hard.
It is tough, because you want it to be a genuine friend.
Yeah, you want to be someone who's close to you, don't you?
Yeah, I want to be...
Someone you've known for a long time.
Somebody who...
Someone you get on with.
Yeah,
you know.
all of those things. It has to be someone like that, so... I haven't asked anybody yet,
right,
but
okay.
I'm close to asking somebody.
Okay. So you're not... Have you got... I suppose there's quite a lot of people it could be then in your head, because you're very popular. You've got a lot of friends, I know that.
What are you talking? You've got one friend, it's me! I've got one friend, it's you! Yeah, all right.
What do you bet it's going to be Robbie Williams?
Me and Alan were having a great chat backstage.
Well, Alan, if he asked you, would you be his best man? I mean, you can ask him now if you... I mean, do you want to do this now?
I mean, it's best not to do it on telly, isn't it? You know, those kind of things are personal.
Have you got a busy summer, Alan? I'm thinking about doing it in the summer.
I'm totally available. I don't want the other fella there, though. I'll do Deck and Alan. Deck and Alan's fine.
But you presumably it's going to have to be. You can't not. Yeah.
No, genuinely, I have asked that, and he's going to do it for me.
Oh, that's so nice.
I can't bloody wait.
OK, so Valentine's Day is today, of course. Have you been romantic, making the gestures at home, and have you, with your intended, have you done the same thing?
Well, me and Ali have known each other for a long time, and we used to go out on Valentine's night together when we were both single, because we had no partners, so we would go out together and hang out, and we would kind of laugh at all the people that were together and go, look at them, they're all out for Valentine's night.
You losers couples. You in a relationship, bro. You squares. And this is why it took me so long,
But you've got to make the effort. Have you made the effort this year?
I have this year. I bought some good presents. There've been years when... I'm normally quite a romantic person.
Yeah.
And like, I've kind of surprised my wife on holidays, you know, last-minute surprise holidays and stuff. But we've got to a point where, and I think you like this, where when you're married, you tend to do the same thing. And I started taking her to the same restaurant. There was one year she said, I said, I thought we'd go to this place in Chiswick where we live. And she said, oh, boring. I said, really? It's just like a Michelin-star restaurant. She said, well, we go there every year. She goes, come on, you used to think about things. You used to do things on the spur of the moment. I'd go anywhere just so we spend a night together, just something different. So I booked the local chippy and took her there. She said, I'd go anywhere with you. I thought, right, OK, I'll take this. So I rang the chippy and I said, can I book a table? And the guy went, you want a what? I said, can I book the table? So we only got one table. And that's where people kind of park their bags while they wait for the chips. I said, well, on Valentine's night, can you make it available? And he's like, yeah, OK, then. He says, but I don't have any reserved signs or anything like that. I said, well, look, get a rose and put it in a vase, which he did. And he went, I'll tell you what, I'll sit on it till you get there. So we're walking down the high street, and I walked past the restaurant she thought we were going to go to. And then she walked, oh, surprise, surprise. I went, no, actually, we're not going there. And then we turned left and went into Chris's fish and chip shop, went in, sat on the table like this. Go on, then, here you are. And we sat there, and we both had sausage and chips and a can of Lilt, and it was less than a tenner. And we had a lovely night.
That's all you need. Have a chat. Oh, dear. OK, here's exciting news. It's just been announced this week that you're doing a special documentary here for ITV, and you're interviewing Prince Charles.
Yeah. It's to celebrate 40 years of the Prince's Trust, his charity, and we're 40 this year, so kind of it works quite well for him and for us. And we're going to join him and have unprecedented access to him and see the work he does and go to all the charities and meet people who the charity have helped over the course of the next few months, really, most of this year.
And it's been a huge success, the Prince's Trust. I mean, it's changed so many people's lives, hasn't it? And I guess you'll be talking to a lot of the kids, who some of them would be, you know, grown-ups now, of course, quite old, but whose lives have been changed by that. Yeah,
absolutely. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to go around and see a lot of the projects that he set up back in the North East as well, where we came from. So we're really looking forward to that, spending some time with him and kind of getting under his skin a bit and getting on his nerves, probably.
That's a weird picture. That looks like Ant with Nick Clegg behind him. It's either Nick Clegg or KD Lang. I can't work it out. OK, so Saturday Night Takeaway is back, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that exciting news? Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Because without you two, ITV would collapse, let's face it. Me and Paddy McGuinness, we'd be back on the bins if you weren't knocking around. So my favourite part of the weekend when it's on, I'm guessing there'll be some new features, but also some of the old favourites coming back as well?
Yes, absolutely. We have audience hits where we surprise people in the audience. Yeah, We've got Win the Ads, we've got all the things. Ant versus Deck is back. And this time, for the first time, we've got a brand new shiny app that you can play along at home, so you can choose who you think's going to win the challenge. If you're right, you could win money at home if you get the right one. The Littles are coming back, Little Ant and Deck are coming back to annoy a load of celebrities.
I tell you what I love, before we talk about stuff, I love the undercover pranks you do.
Oh, yeah.
I love seeing people being caught out in the way, and it's always good-natured, it's always warm-hearted, but it's funny. But at the same time, I love seeing the characters they get you dressed up in. And I also love hearing you, let's face it, struggle with the accent.
Everything's just tinged with a little bit of Geordie, isn't it?
Here's a few of the characters that Ant and Deck have been over the years. That's when you did David Dickinson.
Yes.
And I think Deck, you were Scouser in that one, weren't you?
Well, no, you were meant to be a Manc, but then David Dickinson said, oh, good Scouse lad. So I'm going to have to go with this.
So you rolled with it?
Yeah.
Improv?
Yeah.
Okay. This next one, you were in America because Jeremy Kyle's out there doing his show.
Yeah.
And that's quite extreme. I mean, they're really...
But on that picture, it looks like all three of us have got prosthetic head. He won't let me say that. Keep looking. It does. It does.
He looks the least realistic of the lot of you. Now, this was the one when you trick girls allowed.
We were a pair of Irish nuns. Sister Mary and Sister Bernadette.
Do you ever feel a little bit guilty, though? Because I know, I mean, normally, as I said, it's genuine, it's warm-hearted, but sometimes you sort of trick people into the situation. And sometimes it's an event that they're looking forward to, isn't it? And so you have to kind of, be there to undercut it.
Yeah. Sometimes, we've done that, where we get people down and do the undercover on them, and then it turns out that they actually haven't got that gig that they thought they were getting.
We did one on Bradley Walsh where he thought he was doing an after-dinner speech and he thought he was getting paid 10 grand for the speech. and it was for this company, and it turns out that Bradley was doing the after-dinner speech, and we told all the audience were actors, and we told them not to laugh at any of his gags.
Wow, that's about as cruel as you can get.
I know.
It was hilarious, though.
I felt
I can imagine.
And then the company's mascot, the duck, had died. So the new mascot, I came out dressed as Dotty the Duck, started dancing around, which he didn't find funny at all. Then I took the head off. And then I think he took a swing at me and got in the taxi. He swore at me a lot, got in the taxi, stayed and wouldn't come back at all. And then they were eventually persuaded to come back. And then he kind of saw the funny side until we said, no, you're not getting the 10 grand. And then he got back to the car. Yeah, well, that took quite a lot of mending.
OK.
And, but we do one on Ollie Murs as well, on the show this week, and Ollie's been asked to do a waxwork for Madame Tussauds.
And so he genuinely has?
He has, yeah.
Okay.
He has. And we found this out. So we thought, oh, we can try and hijack this a little bit. And so he'd been for a couple of sittings at Madame Tussauds, and we then rang his management company, who told him that he has to go back in because the guys at Madame Tussauds have come up with this 360 scanning device that you get in now, and he's going to be the first person in the country to get in there, and it scans you, and it's a bit like a 3D printer, and it'll print the waxwork.
The whole body.
Of course, that's all bollocks. I mean,
and you two are the scientists in charge of this. So is this in the first episode?
This is in show
OK, well,
because
we have a clip of this. This hasn't been shown, of course. This is Ant and Deck. It starts this Saturday night, ITV 7 p.m. Of course, it's live, which makes it anything could happen. But here's the clip of something they recorded with poor Ollie.
OK, we're just going to power up the system. Shouldn't take very long.
SMT scan 2014. Hurry up. System activated.
I just need to check the door, Ollie. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
Hey, Ollie, could you pull the handle for me?
Yeah.
Pull that.
There you go.
Bless him.
Bless him. Poor thing. It gets worse as well. It gets worse than that.
It gets a whole lot worse, and he comes out and he's covered in gunk by the end of it because we've poured all sorts on him. And he comes out and bless him, he's been having 3 months' worth of sittings for Madame Tussauds, and then we go, you're not having a waxwork, you're on a Saturday night takeaway, and he thought the whole waxwork was a set up.
I know.
So
really,
bless him,
really
his little face sank. I mean, no, you all getting the waxwork, just that we're not making it.
It's not ours. Yeah, so he is.
Let's change the tone here a little bit. Well, first of all, before we get onto this, there's something I want to show you. Before we do that, is another big challenge this year. Ant and Dec, I don't know if you've heard this. You're hosting the Brits.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah.
So you're going to host the next Brits. That's going to be a big thing. 25th of February. You've done it once before, way back when.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird to think back in your career? Because of course we all know this. You kind of started as PJ and Duncan on TV, and then you had the music career.
Yeah.
And you were actually nominated for Brits.
A Brit.
OK, you were nominated for A Brits.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were nominated in 1995. So.
And you were nominated as Best Newcomers.
Best Newcomers in 1995.
And did you win that year, or did you?
We didn't win. We
No,
were a very,
no.
very close second place to a band called Oasis.
Oh, right.
Whatever happened to them?
Well, you were robbed.
Yeah, weren't we?
You were robbed. But do you... I mean, I know we had that thing recently where everyone was going about Ready to Rumble again, and that came back, and you had another... That was a hit all over again. But do you miss that? Is there ever a moment you think, you know, I wish we'd gone down that path? I wish we'd expressed ourselves musically.
No.
No. Do you not miss performing the songs and doing that?
No. It's no. We knew we weren't, you know, songwriters. We weren't really that talented singers, and it was, you know, we got the gig. We were written out of Brighton Grove. Yeah. We were kind of pensioned off at 18, and we got offered the record contract, and it was a lot of fun for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And we travelled the world and stuff, and done silly. Wow. But
that's your first album with K.D. Lang, wasn't it? I know.
But yeah, we were both glad when it came to an end.
Yeah. But I used to follow that because it was kind of that period when rap and hip hop, which is kind of the dominant popular music now, but that was just emerging as a strong force. And so even though you weren't, you had to do the rap shapes and all that.
Yeah, it was weird. We left Biker Grove and we needed something to do, and we got offered this deal. So we kind of treated it like another job, a bit like an acting gig. So, you know, we played the parts.
Well, I think you played the part very well, and to prove that, I'd like to share with you a moment which hasn't been seen for many years, I believe. This is one of the...
video again, is it, from last time?
No, this is even better, because... and this is a special Valentine's gift from me and from this show to you. Eternal Love was the track. I know you remember that. That was a minor hit. Eternal Love was a minor hit for you guys, wasn't it? But it had a beautiful message and some beautiful, beautiful lyrics, you know, something about the smell of sun cream, you know, such a familiar smell. I mean, it was romantic.
Happy Valentine's, everybody.
This is a live performance you did on London Tonight.
What?
Yep. And I want you to watch that, because Ant, I think, invents several whole new rap stances. I mean... And the anger... He's straight out of Brompton, or wherever it is. I don't know where it was. OK, check this out. Here we go. From 1994.
Here they are, PJ and Duncan. The first ever television performance of their new single, Eternal Love. Take it away, boys.
I'll give you my love. From me to you. A token of love. Long summer nights and lazy days. We knew our love was not a passing phase. Suntan ocean, a familiar smell. Chain shells. The sand on my feet and the warm sea breeze. The kind of romance that's hard to believe. Our bodies together.
He's gone. I'm coming back, I promise. It's safe to come out. Wow.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That's horrific.
That is hardcore old school right there.
What were we thinking, man?
Wow. I love you kind of doing the gangster walk. And then singing about suntan lotion.
Oh, God.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ant and Dec. They're here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Tell your friends. Also on the show to come in a minute, Goldie, Hawn, Alan Davies and Diana Krall. So join me after the break. Welcome back to the show. Let's get my next guest out. She has had a remarkable career. She's one of my favourite ever screen actors and one of my favourite talk show guests. Will you please welcome the fabulous Goldie Hawn? Lovely to see you again. Here's Dan, here's Alan, and you shall have me. What do you take a seat there? Take a seat there.
Thank you.
Wow. How fabulous to see, isn't it? Great to have Goldie Hawn here, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what I want to see. It looks like you've bought a bottle.
I did. I brought a bottle, and because it's Valentine's Day, and I'm not with Kurt because he's making a film doing The Hateful Eight with Quentin Tarantino.
That's exciting.
And so he's up in the mountains. I'm here. I'm going into a retreat actually tomorrow. But he sent this to me today. So I want to say happy anniversary. Shared it from Kurt and I. And if you feel like it, we can open it later.
Well, I think certainly. I mean, maybe I should just take it home and open it later. Well, we can open it now if you want. Would you like a glass?
Let's open it now.
OK, I've got some glasses here as well. You fellas, you fancy a...
Oh, why not? It's Valentine's Day.
And let's see.
I think, you know, it's a Valentine's Day moment.
How long have you and Kurt been together?
We've been together today 32 years.
Today? Wow! How wonderful. 32 years. OK, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Brilliant.
Let's try and get this going. Oh, look at that.
Don't you love that pop?
I do love that pop. I like it almost as much as I like the smell of suntan lotion. I don't know if you like it.
But, you know, the senses just are so important,
They
aren't
are important. My God, yes. But how long? It's 32 years. So where did the two of you meet?
We met, first of all, I made a film when I was 20, and it was called The One and Only Genuine Family Band. And I walked up there, and I didn't know where I was going, so I knocked this woman, and I stopped her, and I said, look, I'm here for the audition as a dancer, and I need to go to the studio, but I don't know which one it is. She said, oh, let me take you. I did that. I got the job, the lead dancer. I did the show, the whole thing. Years later, he comes to audition for Swing Shift. So I sat with him, and he said, you know, you met my mother. And I said, really? When did I meet your mother? He said, well, when you were a dancer and you were doing One and Only Genuine Original Family Band, my mother came up afterwards and said, you see that girl? She's going to get the part. So that's where we met.
Cheers.
Any other questions?
Yeah, that's a very comprehensive answer.
Cheers to love.
Cheers, Curtis. Thanks, Curtis.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers to love.
Cheers. You look incredible. Doesn't Goldie look wonderful like that? How do you keep in such good shape? You have a tough workout regime? What do you do?
I do work out. I try to work out every day. I missed some of those days. I don't chide myself for it.
Were you working out then? Was that a workout going on?
By the way, actually, yeah. Because when you... So you're good. I got a deep breath for nothing. Because when you roll your ankles this way and this way, and you do this, you suddenly take a very, very natural deep breath.
This is
so
my kind of workout.
It's fabulous. But I do...
We should open a gym with this going on.
I did. I did. No, I mean, round. There you go.
What you got on your chin?
And you got your...
What is that?
The price, I think. Yeah, okay.
So, you know, this kind of thing...
I can't do that weight. That weight's hard.
But here's the other thing. One of the things... what can't you do?
Well, I go this way. Hold it. That way's OK, but that way... Doesn't that one gets stuck?
Now, wait a minute, but just...
It looks... You're going the
also,
same
I've got
way.
cramp in its arch now. So...
Now, by the way, our feet... Think about it. Our feet hold us up. Do we ever exercise our feet and our ankles? It's why we fall. It's why, other than the core.
Yes,
so
core, body here.
Very important.
For Pilates, that's important.
Pilates, ballet, everything, which is what I started in.
Yeah, you were a dancer.
Yeah, I was a dancer. So that sort of discipline goes through your life, starting early.
Do you miss acting still? Because I certainly miss seeing you in films. The last movie I saw you in was, The Banger Sisters, I think, was the last movie.
Yeah,
you
the
made, is
Banger
that right?
Sisters,
That was
yeah.
a few years back.
Yes, a lot of time.
You tempted to go back into acting? Do you actively look for parts, or...?
After Banger Sisters, I moved up to Vancouver, and this was after 9/11, and I really started focusing in on on children, and I came up with this idea of creating a place for children to feel calm and reduce stress, and because we lived in uncertain times, and I really didn't think much about working, and I thought, well, do what you're going to do for the next part of your life. What is the next thing that matters to you? And children matter to me, and health and mindfulness matters to me. So I created this program with the help of these people, and I've loved it so much.
And this is teaching kids to maybe to de-stress, to step outside of the concerns and the anxiety they feel, which maybe they think they can't control. Is that right?
Exactly. So, you know, children who can't understand what's happening to them, whether they are living in a stressful environment at home, whatever they bring into the classroom, these symptoms that we're seeing, unable, can't focus, too much bullying, fear, anxiety, you know, these kinds of things that destabilize them, they have no tools to deal with it. So this program gives them tools.
Tell me about the foundation thing, because you're talking about de-stressing. What kind of things do you teach?
Well, take your good 3 breaths, and I like to, because I wrote the book 10 Mindful Minutes, and take 10 times a day and do 1 minute, just 1 minute of 3 deep breaths, and then sit there and watch your breath for the rest of that minute. Get up, have your day, go back again. I think relationships should be my next book, which is how do we deal with those things that aren't like us and yet we love them?
You mean a man in your case?
Well, in this case it would be a man, but listen, could be another man to a man, well, a woman to a woman, so it doesn't matter. Or it could be just a relationship. It's like between you and me.
Yeah, yeah.
That would, you know, could be very challenging.
But, well...
I'm sensing that. I'm sensing that.
Are you getting the feeling?
But I like that challenge.
Yeah, don't you?
I welcome that challenge.
You had the chance.
Did I?
Did he?
Yes, you did.
When was that?
You begged out.
What the... When? Did I have a chance?
Yes, we were supposed to go on the boat together.
Oh, yes. Oh, but I didn't know that was going to happen.
Well,
I thought it was just a cruise. I bid at a charity auction to go on a cruise with Goldie, but there were other people there. I didn't know it was just going to be us.
But it's a big boat.
When's the next auction? You got any idea when it's another one? Goldie, will you stick around? Can I ask you to stick around for the rest of the evening?
Yes,
I hope
of
so.
course.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's going to be here all night. Miss Goldie Hawn, the fabulous Goldie Hawn. And you bought refreshments. Thank you so much. Still to come after the break, the brilliant Alan Davies, and we have music from Diana Krall, so you don't want to miss it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest out. He's an award-winning comedian, a brilliant raconteur, and a marvellous advert for the male perm industry. Please welcome Mr. Alan Davies. Here we go. Alan, great to have you here.
Hello.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much.
You, of course, you're father of 2 now, so you're...
Father of 2, yeah.
Having the young children now, has that kind of curtailed the romance in your life, or do you manage to keep alive? How old are your 2?
They're 5 and 3.5.
Wow, so that's a demanding age.
It's curtailed everything. Yeah. It's astonishing how much time they need. I mean, I loved all your talk. I mean, it was great. I loved all that. You take 10 individual minutes in a day. Yeah. That's hilarious to me. There could be 10 individual seconds in a day without one of them going, what are you doing? Why are you standing like that? Well, I want someone to play with me. I'm hungry. I finished! From the toilet. Nowhere in the house that's safe from them.
I know, but you're the boss, you know.
Am I?
Oh, yeah.
In the book? I'm getting this book.
And by the way, don't forget that.
I'm so not.
And the other part is that bring the kids in on your quiet moment. Sit with them. Say, come and sit with me. We're going to have a quiet moment.
Would that stay a quiet moment for long if you tried to bring a 2-year-old in?
If I just got them next to me and then slowly slip my hands in over their mouths. We're going to be quiet for a minute. Listen to Daddy breathing.
But how's your life changed? Because now I know you're on tour at the moment, and when I first met you, you were a young stand-up comic, you were a single guy, and then you're on tour. Of course, it doesn't really, I mean, I guess it's a very fun experience, but you're not missing anything much at home. Now you've got that going on.
Oh, my God.
That's you when you... I think that was the first time you did my show, way back in 1990.
But no, that was... I mean, I loved being a stand-up then, and then I had a lot of time doing TV acting, and now I'm back. The stand-up works better for me with the kids, because just at the point where I'm about to throw them out the window, I have a gig in Bournemouth, and I can just... So I'm touring a lot. Actually, when I say I'm touring, I mean, I'm not really... I just like day trips.
So it's not touring like it used to be, where you go on the road and then not come back for 4 months. Now you're zip, zap, go there and come home.
And I'm only on the road because my wife wants to have a third baby. That's the principle.
Yeah.
I said that at a gig, and someone said, she had the last 2 when you were touring, which is charming. Charming, helpful comment, sort of thing.
Presumably, being a married man now and having the children, that must be a source of material. I know that you seem to have got more personal in what you talk about on stage than previously.
Yeah, I think so. I like doing the material about the kids and my own life.
Yeah, because I'm interested because I've known you for a while, and I know you sometimes speak to me a tiny bit about things that have gone on when you were a kid, for example, because your mum died when you were very young.
Yeah, my mum had leukemia, so we lost my mum when I was 6. So for 10 years then, before my father remarried, it was quite... there was just him and the 3 of us, you know, we were very small.
I mean, it must be very difficult for him to have dealt with that change and to have raised you without her there. So, and I know now you're talking more about him on stage as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, and well, he's elderly now, and so... You know, you start to talk about things that have happened. I can talk about losing my mum when I was little, because there's a bit of distance now, and maybe when I was younger, I thought, oh, I won't talk about that, that's a bit of a downer. And now I realise that everyone in the audience has lost someone, or they've got kids, or they've got an elderly parent who's maybe not all there. You know, everyone's got their story, and it resonates a bit, and it feels like a point for being there.
Yeah. Did it feel better for you to be able to talk about it as well?
Yeah, I think so. And there's more content. And also, I think, if you're a comic, and you come up with all your own material, which I do, it ought to be personal to you, otherwise you can just kind of package it up and pass it on. So I like to think my current show, I mean, and nobody else could do that except me, that's the plan.
So the current show is called Little Victories, and it ties down specifically to something to do with your father, doesn't it? It
does. Well, I wanted to call the show... my last show was called Life is Pain, and I wanted to call the show Sex is Pain, and that relates specifically, because my wife's 12 years younger than me, to when I first met her, and she was in her 20s, and I made a bit too much of an effort in that department.
Well, the first few times?
Yeah, well, the first... Well, basically, I was in considerable physical discomfort for most of 2006, if I'm honest. Because I set the bar a little bit too high, because I wanted her to think I had the flexibility and the stamina...
Of a younger man?
Of a younger man.
Yes,
and then I could never sort of bring myself to say, no, I can't do that anymore! And I was always... Can we change? And I was... I mean, I do remember, maybe this is too much detail, but I do remember being behind her one night and thinking, we are really dangerously close to the edge of the bed, and why is it on me, just because I'm oldest, why is it on me to look out for health and safety? Can you not focus? And it's a lot of physical effort, you know, to get both of you back into the safe zone.
And you've got to try and make it seem like it's part of the routine.
Make it seem like it's part of the act.
The passion. You know? Just move to the middle of the safe area.
Immediately, she started pulling left, almost immediately. I was like, you need your wheels aligning. You're pulling left.
Like a trolley in the supermarket. Like she was going to one side.
I was taking ibuprofen about an hour before bed. My lower back was killing me. I was saying things like, again, we did it last night, you know, trying not to say... So I wanted to call the show Sex is Pain, but then my promoter said, you know, if you call the show Sex is Pain, God knows who's going to come. We'll get people in rubber masks.
Yeah.
People reading in their partners on all
fours. You'll get the shades of grey crowd in, yeah, exactly,
they'll be saying, what's happening? You're just talking about your dad. And the Little Victories refers to getting him to eat blackcurrant jam against his will. Might not seem a lot, but when you're 9, I mean, I high-fived myself.
Does he mind you talking about this? Have you told him you talk about this?
He doesn't know what I talk about. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
It doesn't matter.
He doesn't know. He's very pleased. You know what? When I was young, when I was doing your show, that didn't count. You know what really counted for him in terms of making it was when I was on Des O'Connor.
Wow.
That was when he really thought... You know.
Well, but that was the mainstream talk show of its day.
Des was the main man, and if you were on the Des O'Connor show, that counted. Everything prior to that was irrelevant.
When was the moment when your parents thought you'd arrived? When did they think... Oh, obviously it wasn't the music. So when was the moment...
I think it was probably the first time we were on the North East News. and we're on Look North, and we got interviewed by Mike Neville, who was the big news anchor in the North East. And we'd been doing stuff, you know, been here, there, everyone had records in the charts and stuff. But we were on Look North with Mike Neville.
Wow.
For the first time, and Mike had a very long gold pen. And he said, and you came from Byker Grove, and I remember he went, and you're pop stars now? And we went,
a gold pen?
Yeah, actually we are.
Goldie, when was the first time, when did your parents realise that you'd arrived, that you'd made it?
You know, I had a really supportive mother and father. And, you know, and I think the other part is, and this is a very touching story. I did a play called Romeo and Juliet.
I think we've heard of that one.
And, you know, I wanted a part, so I really studied it, and I got the part. And it was a big shock because I was a dancer, and I was 3,000 people. It was in Virginia. And while the big potion speech, which I was doing, it just started to rain. It was an amphitheater. And no one moved. And when it was over, because I didn't know what to do, and my dad came back, and he looked at me and he said, "Go, when did you learn to do that?"
Wow.
And that is something I'll never forget.
Did he think you'd made it rain?
You know what? That's a really great... That is a
Let me talk about another thing you're doing, because this is a genuinely exciting thing, I think. Alan is dipping his toe into the world of the talk show, but in a very different way. The show is called Alan Davies, As Yet Untitled. Tell us why it's different. It's on 10 p.m, Tuesdays on Dave. That is a channel. Tell us... this is a very different kind of concept, isn't it?
That was a funny one, actually. Tommy T and it was wonderful. It is what it is. It's just 5 people, well, me plus 4, around a table having a conversation. They bring a couple of anecdotes each. And the nice thing is, we can handle more poignant things or sadder things, as well as absolute filth and nonsense. There's always someone's going to say something funny, you know.
Who have been your favourite guests so far on this show?
We had one episode where Ben Miller came on, and Ben Miller, who I've known for a long time, and we shared a flat at the Edinburgh Festival 20 years ago, and he told us a story about going to the Cannes Film Festival and getting mistaken for Ben Stiller. Just easily done.
Because he looks a bit like him, and it's Ben Miller, Ben Stiller. You can see how that might happen.
And he gets to the hotel, and he gets taken to a really fancy hotel, this way, and he doesn't say, "Oh, no, I'm Ben Miller." He just goes with it, gets shown into the most luxurious suite in Cannes, with windows out across the whole of La Croisette and the beach, and then he looks across, and there's booze and food laid out, and he stayed there for 3 days. And he called all his friends that he knew who were from the British film industry. They all came over. At any minute, he was expecting to knock on the door and Zoolander to turn up. And he stayed there for 3 days. And when he revealed that to the audience, on the Untitled audience, they all spontaneously cheered. You know, like the plucky Brit gets a freebie. And even when Ben Stiller did turn up, the hotel couldn't really make a scene by throwing Ben Miller out, so they just got him another room, and he said service was not so hot. It was really fun.
The show's great. It's 10 p.m. It's on Davies on Tuesday nights, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be back with QI before long, I'm sure. With,
more of that.
And, of course, he's on tour at the moment. Little Victories. Look out for a brilliant comedian. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alan Davies. Don't go away after the break. Joining us out here, Diana Krall will be here chatting, and she will be playing live as well. And I'm telling you, she's unbelievable. See you in a minute. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest out here. Listen to these statistics. It's incredible. She's sold 15 million albums. She's had 7 platinum deals. She's won 5 Grammys. So to put that in perspective, that's 6 more than Ant and Dec have ever won. Will you please welcome the wonderful and the fabulously talented Diana Krall. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging around all night. You know the guys are now coming to you.
Hi,
there you go.
Hi.
So if you shove along now, there you go. That's it. Diana, thank you so much for being here, especially on Valentine's night, of course.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Night.
And you too, as well. Let me ask you about, I mean, those statistics gave with incredible success. Did you hit the ground running? Were you kind of one of these people who signed up early and became a star? Or did you serve your time doing, like, the piano bars and cruises, that kind of thing?
I started out when I was 15 years old playing in a bar called the NHL Restaurant. so I'm Canadian, and it was all the waiters wore referee shirts.
So that's the hockey league.
It was owned by the Lloyd Gilmore, who was a referee, and so it was very good for me to be ducking beer bottles at a young age. And it was a real character, actually. So it was my start to playing piano in lots of restaurants. My mum took me down and auditioned.
I found the idea of that kind of thing, I find that idea kind of very romantic. The idea of, like, you know, the young artist suffering through...
Sitting at the bar, learning how to make frozen daiquiris at 15.
Was it safe, though, being a young woman? Was it safe being out there? I mean, did your mum pick you up after work as well, or...?
Yeah, I guess they did, because I was 15 years old, so I don't really remember the getting home part, so everything was probably okay.
There, Diana.
Probably okay, yeah.
But you did get home, though, you did get home.
Yeah, I was very, very, very...
And what other sort of characters you meet? Were there regulars that you had there? What kind of people?
Regulars, sat at the bar, talked to the bartender, talked to the regulars, played the piano. I remember that lots of requests written on a dollar bill, you know.
And was it always jazz for you? Because it's quite unusual that a young person, sort of, you know, moves into jazz rather than, at the time it was rock, was the dominant music for young people, of course, before rap. Were you ever interested in that side, or was it always jazz for you?
Well, I grew up with, my father collected 78 records and gramophones, so I grew up listening to early American music on cylinders, 78s. Wow. But I was a huge fan of Elton John. You know, I had an Elton John songbook. And
so I know you're a huge Elton fan. You said you grew up listening. But wasn't he instrumental in some way? Because Diana is married to Elvis Costello, a very own Elvis Costello, one of the greatest musical talents this country's ever produced. And I'm just a massive fan of his. But Elton was sort of instrumental in getting you guys together, wasn't he?
He was. And I was in Antarctica on an expedition. I came back, and I'd never met Elton John before. So I met him in Hawaii at that time in January on my way back from Antarctica. And we became really close because I was such a fan of his. And then, I don't remember the exact date. I'm not very good at dates, but I met Elvis, and then we started courting in London. And Elton and David really encouraged that because they wanted me to be happy.
Wasn't Elton responsible for your children as well? Not directly. I hear that he was instrumental in some way. I don't know.
He's been such a great friend to me and to my family. And, you know, I was always told, well, I don't think it's in your cards, and you're a jazz pianist, and, you know, you can't have kids, and you're on the road. And I just had gotten married. And I remember sitting with him, and he's like, right, you're 37. You're going to be 39. Then you're going to be 40. Have kids. I went, okay. So within a year, I was sort of knocked up with twins.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Elvis was involved. This isn't this isn't divine intervention by Elton. He can't just say, have kids, and suddenly you swell.
No, but, you know, it was I'd lost my mom in 2002. Such a difficult time. We're all talking about our parents, so it's quite poignant. And I didn't really know. I was kind of just fallen in love, and so Elton was very encouraging for me to be happy and to let myself do that, because my mom also had a leukemia-related disease. It's multiple myeloma, and she died at 60. So it was very difficult. And then I met Elvis pretty much like directly after that. So all of a sudden, one thing goes out in your life, and then the next important thing that I wasn't expecting came in. Wow. And sometimes all it takes is just some encouragement, and just a simple, come on, get going. Of course you can have children. You'll be a great mom. Yeah. And I went, oh, okay. It's really lovely. Yeah. I've never really talked about that very much, but he means so much to me.
Let me ask you about the album. It's called Wallflower. It's out now. You're going to hear a track in a minute. And hearing you live was a revelation for me. You have just the loveliest voice. We're going to go over the piano now. Can you play? You
so
play
much
other
more
standards.
There
okay. Well, let's head over to the piano. Everyone, coming over. Let's say thank you to Dan and Krall, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the final. Okay. Okay. So grab a spot. So let's. Wow. Let's imagine we're in this bar years ago you're playing. I've got $1. Let's go. I'm going to ask for a request here.
$1.
Let's see if you know this song. Let's see if we can get this one. Any idea whether you can play that tune here for us? Let's see.
A few bars. Okay.
Wow. Oh. Let's give this a go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's get ready, let's get ready, let's get ready to
rumble. Watch us rock the mic. Watch us rock the mic. Watch us rock the mic and sing. There you go, that's the one. That's the one we want. That was very much a homegrown classic.
It's got notes to it, everything.
Oh no, don't go getting ideas. That's not going to be the new career, is it?
We're going to re-release it, the jazz version.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Diana Krall. Guys, let's head over here and let's go and sit down so we can enjoy this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to all my guests. We'll see you next week with more great guests. But now, with Desperado, it is Diana Krall.
Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now. Oh, you're a hard one. I know that you've got your reasons. These things that are pleasing you can hurt you somehow. Don't you draw the queen of diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able. You know the queen of hearts is always your best bet. Now it seems to me some fine things have been laid upon your table, but you only want the ones that you can't get. Desperado, oh, you ain't getting no younger. Your pain and your hunger are driving you home. And freedom, well, freedom, well, that's just some people talking. Your prison is walking through this world all alone. Don't your feet get cold in the wintertime? Sky won't snow and the sun won't shine. Tired to tell the nighttime from the day. Ain't it funny how the feeling goes away? Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? Come down from your fences, open the gate. It may be raining, but there's a rainbow above you. You better let somebody love you before it's too late.
Thank you, David Foster.
Survivor Supremo Bear Grylls puts 8 celebs to the test in brand new show Mission Survive, starting Friday at 9. And brand new Ant and Dex Saturday Night Takeaway returns live to spice up your weekend next Saturday at 7 with